Hello everyone. I, Akshata Musle, Faculty of Civil Engineering Department, JAIN College of Engineering and Technology, hereby welcome you all for today's session. And in today's session, we'll be dealing with career prospects and future in civil engineering. So in the first session, we'll be speaking about the career prospects, and in the next session that will be taken care by Professor Guru Patil. He is also faculty of Civil Engineering Department. So today we'll be discussing on specifically on the career prospects of civil engineering. And so this is the content of the presentation. And so first thing is what after 12 and what is my goal, what you should think before selection of a career, then choosing the right career, and then there's ambition versus reality, conventional thinking, factors influencing career decisions, career development cycle, and of course the story of a hare and tortoise, and finally marvels in civil engineering. Okay, so let us start with the first slide, and that is what after 12th. So most of us, we come to ambiguity after 12, like what career has to be chosen, which stream has to be chosen. And so choosing a career that is right for you can be very difficult. You think you have found the perfect career path, and after a while, you realize that you don't really want to do it. So, deciding on a career that you would love to pursue is one of the toughest decisions a student has to make. So, now when you have so many options, like what after 12, now there are so many questions you need to answer. For example, what I'm really gonna to do, and can I really get there? And if I get there, so what are the risk parameters? And then at a certain point, you feel that, am I sure of the route? And if it is yes, so when and where, how to do it? Then are my subjects appropriate? And finally, if I don't make it, then do I have any other options? So there are so many thoughts which comes after 12th. So choosing the right path and choosing the right career option would be, it's like the most vital part after 12th. So now again, you need to answer quite a few questions, like what is my goal, and whatever my parents decide. So if it is like what is my goal, so there are so many factors, like whatever my parents going to decide, then whatever my friends would suggest, and or whatever is in my destiny. So you need to answer all of these questions, and sometimes we get influenced by all these questions, and then you're going to stop right there and choose and tell that no, I'm going to plan it because it's my future and I'm going to plan it. Okay, so again, when you are choosing the right career, so what you should think before selection of a career is whether you wish to learn or earn. Okay, so learning and earning are two different things. So if you want to earn, you should obviously learn. Okay, then your choice or your own choice or it would be rather your own choice or someone else's choice that governs you. And then you should also think of fund available and also the economic condition. Okay, and then it is again followed by the social prestige and pressure. So all these parameters you should think of before choosing a career. Okay, now next important thing is you have to choose it right. So the whatever career you choose, you have to choose it right. Okay, so there are a lot of options available, and of course there are a lot of opportunities also, so you should choose right. Okay, and there are options which are, all the options are equally good and you can compete with each other. So all the options are equally good at the same time, and they can compete with each other. And then one should choose a career based on the academics, personality and desire. It is like ultimately what you want to do. Okay, And there are at times when we choose a career, we have to actually choose, we have a lot of ambitions, but at the same time, it should match to our reality also. So the next slide is all about ambition versus reality. Okay. Now, before making a career choice, take time to understand yourself, your likes, and your preference. It's like ultimately what you want to do, what is your like, and what are your preferences. Then, and of course, at the same time, ambitions, it cannot be injected nor it can be imitated. So it is not like whatever others want to do, it's not that even you would have the same choice. So, and it cannot imitate, you should have your own individuality and your own choice. And at times there are parents attitude that determine the factor of shaping one's career goals. Most of the time it is like parents want to do whatever they could not pursue. Obviously it is like the dream their children has to pursue that. So that could be also a ambition of the parents, but at the same time should be a reality check whether their students or the children also would like to do the same thing. And the next slide talks about conventional thinking. So conventional thinking is nothing but uh, you always conventional. It's like the old school thinking. It's like to choose a profession that parents like. Most of them we are under pressure that we have to choose a profession what parents want us to do, and then to follow what others do. Again, I've told you it is all about imitating what others are doing. And most of the time, we have an inclination towards medical or engineering because these are the two fields which get you and fetch you a good government job at times. And of course, there are chances of getting abroad also. So, having all these parameters in mind, so there are some factors which influence our career decisions. Okay, so when you're deciding the career, there are so many factors. So the factors would be first the parental pressure. Okay, this is one such factor. Again, it is then in the name itself. It's a parental pressure, and then there is a peer pressure. So peer pressure, and then media influence, and finally personal issues. Okay, so let's discuss about this one by one. So first thing is parental pressure. Now since they often don't know any better thing, so a lot of students rely completely on their parents about their career related decisions. So this happens mostly after class 10th or 12th while choosing their streams. So if it is after 10th, it is like again you have to choose a stream. Now the streams would be science, commerce, and humanities, or whatever is your choice. Or now next, after pursuing in class 11th and 12th, then after 12th, while deciding what undergraduate degree to opt for. So students should know that subjects they like best and would be interested in pursuing further. So all this first factor is all about the parental pressure. So it's all the parents who decide the career for the children. Okay. So next is peer pressure. So in peer pressure, now following the herd blindly is another common tendency among students. What's good for your best friend might not necessarily be the best choice for you. So choose a course that you would want to pursue. Okay, so it's like most of us we have through the so if one best friend is pursuing science, obviously, and that doesn't mean that the same stream would be helpful for us. Okay, now that you have already finished 12th, so if you're thinking of going for engineering, so again there are many branches of engineering. So there is like electronics and communication, civil engineering, computer science engineering, mechanical engineering. So now if your friend is choosing computer science engineering, that doesn't necessarily be your choice. Okay, so most of us we follow the herd blindly. So if one is choosing computer science engineering, so even we try to choose that, but now you got to stop there and check what you like and what you want to learn. That is the peer pressure. Okay, so the next factor is Media influence. So no one can escape the influence of media these days, of course. So now the media could be through print, electronic, and of course these days it is more about the social media. Students tend to get swayed and glamorized versions of various careers without even knowing much about the ground reality. So it is obviously that these days, because of this fancied world, so most of us get swayed to different careers. But again, you need to check, make a reality check, and see what you like. Okay. And finally, the last factor is the personal issues. Now, personal problems like financial difficulty in pursuing higher education, student uh, should always again think that you should always check what is your financial condition of a family and how well you can uh, think of choosing a career. And then there is a sudden death of the breadwinner in the family. Then health conditions may force someone to choose a career that they don't like, basically. So there are also instances where people choose a career as a means of livelihood while they strive to achieve success in something that they really want. A typical example would be when someone gets a job in a media or publishing while they try at the same time to succeed as a writer or author. Okay, so most of us, it's like, for an instance, like suppose you want to become a writer, but at the same time, because you cannot wait, there is a time constraint, you have some problems at home, so you tend to do a job in media and publishing. That's how you need to, you compromise your career with your passion. Okay. So you can see here, the next slide now it talks about the career development. Okay. So career development is nothing but, again, same thing. You can see there is a cycle. It's a career development cycle. So the first point is you should always know yourself. Again, knowing yourself is your interest, your values, skills, assets, resources, personality. Okay. You should always think what is your, ultimately, it's what is your interest and what are your skills. Okay. Then it is followed by, you have to explore the possibilities. Okay, now if you have that interest, now you should always think, you should do quite a little research, as in if you're going for engineering, so what are the different streams of engineering, what I have to choose, which branch I need to choose for engineering. And then once you choose, then you have to make a choice now. Now make choice as in set goals, develop plan, and address. Okay. Now you have to choose the right stream of engineering. Now once you choose the right stream of engineering, you have to excel in that because it is your passion and you're learning through your passion. And finally, make it happen. So make it happen means complete your engineering. Once you complete your engineering, 4 years of engineering, and then you decide, okay, this is what I have, because it is, you have learned through your passion. It is not only educating and excelling in your scores. It is ultimately you have learned through your passion. Okay. Okay. Now, again, you need to do a check. You should have all this. Do I have all these 3 Ds in our life? Okay. 3D. Okay. So D is nothing but desire, direction, and determination. So desire, as you have chosen your career which you like, so you should have the desire to learn. Okay. So you should, with a lot of passion, you have to learn, and that is what you desire. And next is whatever you have desired, is it moving in the right direction? So are you reaching your goal through the right direction? And finally, you should reach your goal with a lot of determination. Okay, if you have these 3 Ds in your life, obviously you will succeed your goal without any hindrance. Okay. Now there is a short story of a hare and tortoise. Okay, this is like a inspirational story, as in how to start off a career. Okay. So I think in childhood we have already studied this story of a hare and tortoise. Okay. So let me tell you this, recreate the story once again. So once upon a time, a tortoise and a hare had an argument about who was faster. They decided to settle the argument with a race. They agreed on a route and started off the race. Okay. The hare shot ahead and ran briskly for some time. Then, seeing that he was far ahead of the tortoise, he thought he'd sit under the tree for some time and relax before continuing the race. He sat under the tree and soon fell asleep. So the tortoise, plodding on, overtook him and soon finished the race, emerging as the undisputed champ. So the tortoise, it ran over, okay, and he won the race because the hare was sleeping. Okay. Now the hare woke up and realized that he had lost the race. Now the moral of the story was slow and steady wins the race. Okay, so we have learned in the childhood this was the story of a hare and a tortoise. Okay, now this is the version of a story that we have all heard. Okay, as we have grown up, we have heard the story that slow and steady wins the race. But then recently, somebody told me a more interesting version of this story. And the story continues. So the hare was disappointed at losing the race and he did some defect prevention, that is, root cause analysis. Okay, so he decided what exactly happened. So he realized that he had lost the race only because he had been overconfident, careless, and lax. Okay, so he realized that the hare realized that the root cause. He analyzed the root cause. So he, because of his overconfident, careless, and lax attitude. Okay, so if he had not taken things for granted, there's no way the tortoise could have beaten him. So he challenged the tortoise to another race. The tortoise now agreed. Okay, so this time the hare went all way out and ran without stopping from start to finish. He won by several times. Okay, so this time the hare didn't take any chance, he didn't rest, and he just ran continuously and he won the race. So the moral of the story is fast yet consistent will always beat the slow and steady. So slow and steady, we have already studied, wins the race. But this is now the new version, that is fast and consistent will always beat slow and steady. Okay. So if you have two people in the organization, one is slow, methodological, and reliable, and the other is fast and still reliable, at what does he, other fast or reliable chap, will consistently climb the organization faster than the slow? So all in all, so it is always, it's easy and it is good to be slow and steady, but it's better to be fast and reliable. Okay, so this is the new version wherein we have a good moral of the story, that is, it's better to be fast and reliable. But the story doesn't end here. The tortoise did some thinking this time and realized that there's no way he can beat the hare in the race the way it was currently formatted. He thought for a while and then challenged the hare to another race, but now on a slightly different route. So the hare agreed. They started off. In keeping with the self made commitment to be consistently fast, the hare took off and ran top speed. until he came to a broad river. Now you can see here there is a river. So the hare ran really faster and he came near the river and stood. Now this is the route plotted by the tortoise. Okay. So the finishing line was a couple of kilometers on the other side of the river. The hare sat there wondering what to do. In this meantime, the tortoise trundled along, got into the river, swam to the opposite bank, continued walking, and finished the race. Okay, you can see here. It just got into the water and then it swam and then it went to the opposite bank of the river and then it finished, it went to the, you can see here, the finishing line of the race. So the moral of the story is, first, identify your core competency and then change the playing field to suit your core competency. So in an organization, okay, if you're a good speaker, make sure you create opportunities to give presentations that enable the senior management to notice you. Okay, the same thing, if you're choosing a right career, so it is more important to know your core competency, what you're good at. Okay, then in that, you can, in that particular field, you can excel and become the masters. Okay, and yet the story hasn't ended still. Okay, the hare and the tortoise by this time had become pretty good friends and they did some thinking together. Both realized that the last race could have been run much better. So they decided to do the last race again, but to run as a team this time. Okay, now you can see here, they started off, and at this time, the hare carried the tortoise till the river bank. Okay, the hare carried the tortoise because the hare is very fast, so it is, and the tortoise is slow. So hare carried on his back, carried the tortoise on his back until it reaches the river end, the bank of the river. After that, the tortoise took over and swam across the hare. Okay, across the on his back. So now what happened is they switched. So tortoise took hare on the back and then it swam across the river and it crossed the river and reached the bank of the river. Okay, so both are benefited in this case. It's again fast yet consistent. So on the opposite bank, the hare again carried the tortoise and they reached the finishing line together. They both felt a greater sense of satisfaction than they had felt earlier because both helped each other and crossed in any difficult routes also. Both helped each other and they crossed the bank of the river and reached the finishing line. So the moral of the story is you should always keep trying. Don't settle. Okay. So you should always keep trying and never to settle in life. Okay. All right. So the next concept is what you're dealing here with specifically is civil engineering. So civil engineering is one of a branch of engineering, wherein it is also called as the oldest branch of engineering. So now again in civil engineering, it basically deals with the design, the construction of all the types of buildings, dams, and maintenance of the structures or public works. And it is always related to the earth, water, and space. So you're going to design and build, and of course, at the same time, maintain all the structures. And civil engineering is also known as the mother of all engineering. So it is the oldest branch of engineering. Now you can see here, there are quite a few marvels in civil engineering. We have a beautiful buildings, flyovers. You can see here, there are buildings. So again, this is building with the complete greenery on this. Again, eco-friendly building. So you have to, so when we try to build the building, so we destroy. So basically we're making a concrete block. So in order to compensate with the environment, these days we are going to build the buildings which would again compensate and balance all the trees which are being cut. Okay, and they are to maintain the balance in the environment. So these are buildings, then there are flyovers, you can see here, again to connect the city and maintain the traffic flow. There are planned flyovers. Again, these are canals. These are canals which carry the water from the main source to the distribution. That is where we get the drinking waters. And you can see here there are dams. Again, the dams are used when there is excess of water that has to be stored, and whenever there is a need for water, it is released through these gates. So all this is done by civil engineers, of course. So then these are bridge over the waters, again to connect two different places. And if there is a water body, so this is a bridge which will connect two different places, two different cities. Okay. And then there are marvels. Again, it is all continued. These are highways. You can see here, this is called as the tunnels. Okay. Again, when the road has to be through the mountains, so there has to be a tunnel. And you can see here, there's the highways and tunnels. Again, all this, only the hill is being cut, and only this portion, everything is all maintained. Again, ultimately you have to maintain, if you're constructing any concrete structures, you have to maintain the environment also, because ultimately you need to preserve our environment. So these are highways and tunnels. There are many such beautiful marvels of civil engineering. Okay, so you can, if you have noticed this is the underwater tunnel. Again, you can always see through this, all water, and there is a tunnel here. They're all beautiful sea, marine, aquatic life in this. And this is the underwater tunnel. Okay. All right. So with this, I conclude my session. And the next session will be carried forward by Professor Guru Patil, Assistant Professor of Civil Engineering Department, JAIN College of Engineering and Technology. Thank you, one and all.
Hello, dear students. So this is Professor Guru Patil from JAIN College of Engineering and Technology, HUBBALLI. So I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. So I hope everybody has gone through the career prospects, what Professor Akshata Musale has told you. That now I will introduce you about the future of civil engineering. So what actually the future? If the students wants to pursue a civil engineering graduate or a diploma or an MTech, so what is the future is there in the civil engineering? First of all, I would like to say that civil is nothing but the civilization. So what actually the civilization is? The lifestyle of a person or the human being that changes, that itself is a civilization. So civilization is very, very important for all the humankind. If we want to pursue the civil engineering, first and foremost, we should know that what are the roles and responsibilities that is there in the branch. So any branch, if we consider, they have their own responsibilities and their roles. So we need to first think about the roles, and then we need to proceed along with the branches. So let me introduce some of the roles that is there in the civil engineering society. So civil is not only related with the technical, but it also changes the lifestyle, and it also a very important role in the society as well. Because civil is that kind of a branch. It exists till the humankind exists on this earth. It is not that getting fluctuated. Till the people there on this earth, they will be constructing the houses, or there will be a construction in the infrastructure as well. So first and foremost, the civil engineer has to conceive the plan, estimate, get approval, create and maintain all civil engineering activities. Now, for an example, if I want to construct a home, if I have a site on a or a land, so I cannot go and start constructing on the site because there are some rules and regulation that has to be followed according to the local bodies, that is local municipal bodies. So first we need to get the plan from the engineers, then it should be get approval from the municipal local corporation by making an estimate, and we need to get the approval. So there are many processes that will be done through the online or through the manual itself. So next is the civil engineer has a very important role in the development of the infrastructure. This is very, very important. Now, many of us are using different, like for example, we are using maps. So in the maps, we can see that the road, the directions, how it has to be. So the main infrastructure development is very, very important. For example, if I want to develop my state, or if I want to develop my town, so first and foremost, the infrastructure should be very strong. Infrastructure means the good quality of the road, good electricity, good supply of water, all the basic amenities that should be available in my cities. So the city or a town, if you want to get improved, first and foremost should be improved with the infrastructure that comes along with the branch of civil. So planning of new towns, extension of the new towns or existing towns, it's a very important and it's the main role of the civil engineer. Build the suitable structures for the rural and urban areas for various utilities. Like for example, we should construct some industrial areas that should be existing outside the town, should not affect the environment as well. Ecosystem, everything we need to be considered as a civil engineer. And one last point is the build tanks and dams to exploit water and resources. So here, as there is a seasonal changes, the rain and the summer season, etc. The rain, the water that is accumulated through the river or anything else or from the reservoir, that should be collected and supplied to all the towns. That is very, very important. The pipelines, the dams, the canals, the water tanks has to be built in a proper way. So we have to make use of some gravitational forces. Sometimes we everybody knows that there is a construction of a higher water tank, overhead water tanks, what we say, that is called as INTS water tank. So that is constructed from the top, it is left through the gravity. Because of the gravitational force, the water gets distributed. So that is how we should make use of the natural resources as well to make it as ecosystem. So we cannot go and put the machines and then pump out the water. It becomes a very tedious and uneconomical way of supplying of water. So it is a very main, if these are some of the main important role of a civil engineer in the society for the development of the town, cities or metropolitan cities, etc. So we can say that Bangalore is a well developed uh, town because there everything is basic amenities have been improved, like for example roads, buses, metros, train, airport, 24 hours water, 24 hours, that is electricity supply. So everything it has been improved. That's why the role of a civil engineer is very, very important. Next, what is the scope is there in the civil engineering? I told you that opportunity exists both in India as well as abroad, because the construction or any other field in the civil is having a very vast opportunities in India as well as abroad in the other countries also. You will get both in public as well as private sectors in large numbers. because once you get perceived in the engineering of civil, so you get more opportunities in India as well as you are having both in abroad. Construction of the industries is booming and will stay for next few decades. Next few decades, in the sense it exists throughout the decades, because I told you very beginning that uh, if the humankind exists, where till the existence of the humankind there will be a branch of civil, so there is no end for the civil engineering. So scope for the engineers lies in the very high infrastructure development picking up, and Indian engineers are in the great demand, especially for the Indian engineers, because of the teaching quality and because of the quality of the people from the India. So in the abroad, the vast opportunity that exists for the Indian civil engineers as well. So what are the disciplines in the civil engineering that we can see is that there are different disciplines. After the completion of the your bachelor degree in civil, you can go in the specialization of the civil. So specialization you can adopt that is any one specialization you can have. These are some of the main what you can say that is a branch in the civil engineering, the sub branch of the civil engineering, where the rural and urban development, the structural, bridge, hydraulic, environment, transportation, timber, surveying, geotechnical, water resource, construction management, earthquake. These are some of the important branches of civil engineering. So, rural and urban development. I told you in the very beginning that if you want to supply the water to all the towns and etc., then you have to know that how the systems of the supply of water to be done. So, how the township has to be developed. How, if you have a land, then how it should be divided into 30-40 side, into 60-40 side, how it should be divided, how the roads is to be given. So, that all comes under the rural urban development plan. Then coming to the structural. Structural is a branch, is a very vast branch in the civil engineering, and a very important branch I can say, because for any construction of your building, you requires the structural drawings. I tell you how it is. Because a civil engineer can plan, can design the structure, but the inside the structure what it should be, that is nothing but the structural engineering. So how much the bars have to be put? What is the size of the column? What is the size of the beam? What is the size of the slab that has to be put in a building? So that will all comes under the structural. So after your graduate pursuing in civil engineering, you can go for MTech in structural engineering, and you have all the chance of becoming a freelancer structural engineer, because it has a very importance, I can say. It's a very important branch. Coming to the bridge. Bridge is the sub branch of structural and it's a branch from the civil. So structural related to all your buildings, that is a steel structure, industrial structures, etc. Coming to the bridge, bridge is a infrastructure development. So that also comes under the structural. It's a sub branch. Hydraulic. Yes, hydraulic means the coming to the dam structures. Hydraulic structures which retains water, that is the hydraulic branch. Environment, ecosystem. So how we need to conserve the water, how it should be purified, that water from the river or water from the reservoir, that comes all under the environment. The transportation, very important, how the transportation system has to be improved, like for example in the road, like for example in the railways, in the airports, etc. That all comes under the transportation. Then coming to the timber, timber is related to your wood. So wood structure, how it should be made. Surveying is a very very important branch of the civil. Surveying is the initial stage of any construction, I can say, because before the construction we need to survey the land, we need to mark the points, exact points. If the survey wouldn't exist, then it was very difficult for a structure or a structure to construct, or else there would be a panic situation between the clients, because if you wouldn't have marked the site markings and all, so it would be very much too much hectic thing. So surveying is very very important to mark all the points, to mark the boundaries and all, measurements, length measurements, area measurements, that all comes under the surveying. Geotechnical. Geotechnical is also a vast branch in civil engineering, where you can uh, test the different types of soil carrying, that is the soil capacity, we can come to know. It is the soil and the stone. So which type of soil is better for the construction, which is very soft. So that all comes under the geotechnical. Geo means the earth. Water resource. It is the interrelated branch between the environment as well as water resource. So it's almost all same. That is the hydraulic, environment and water resource is the interrelated branches. Construction management. Construction management is a very important branch also. So where the surveying part that comes under the construction management. So nowadays, the person who is pursuing that is master degree in construction management has a vast opportunities, because many of them think that civil engineering is only related to the site work. But I can guarantee you guys, it is not only related to the site work, it is also related to your office work as well. Because the management activities, many people don't know that these branches also exist in the civil. Because construction management is that kind of a branch where they're completely white collar job you'll be getting. And a vast number of opportunities exist in the abroad as well as in India. Then the earthquake. Earthquake is a sub branch of structural engineering, because nowadays for a high rising structure, for example, if I take the Burj Khalifa from the Dubai, so it is an earthquake resistant building. It is not an earthquake proof, but it is an earthquake resistance. So that is designed according to the structure by using some of the software. So I can give you an exact path if you want to go for a civil engineering. The exact path is the after completion of your PUC, you people can opt for a civil engineering, and after completion of your bachelor degree in civil engineering, you have two opportunities. That is, you can go for the job or you can go for the master degree. So if you go for a job, there is a different scenario. If you go for an MTech, there is a different scenario. Many of you people think that if I do the masters, that is only related to the teaching jobs. No, students, it is not like that. If we, it is in our civil engineering department, we have multiple opportunities. You can go for the job after completion of your MTech in the research and development areas, or you can go for the teaching jobs. So it is not only restricted after completion of your MTech to your teaching jobs, it is related to your jobs as well. So we have their own importance in our branches here. So here you can see that the best career option after getting the bachelor degree in civil engineering. So after completion of your BTech civil engineering, you can go for the board studies. What, where, why, what, where. So the specific studies you can go for the, that is different branches that I told you, that is a structure and different transportation system. You can go in the master degree, or immediately if it requires for some of the people that they don't have the opportunity to go for the MTech. So instead that they go for the job for the money. So immediate they can wait for some time and then go for the placement and POCO exams. I'll tell you what is PSU and what is a placement, how it is actually. Entrepreneurship in civil engineering. Yes, guys. So many people say that if you do civil engineering, you won't get the job. I totally disagree with those people, because we need some experience in any of the engineering stream. So we have whatever we study in our engineering, it is just only a 25% of the basics. So when you come out of the engineering, so the 75% is waiting outside. So that 75% you need to analyze it, or you need to absorb it. So how it should be absorbed? It should be absorbed through an entrepreneurship in the civil engineering. It's a very important factor that many of the students should know it. So many of the students should undergo some training. So like other branch, our branch is a bit different because it is a reality existence. So we can see the real things that is going to happen in our site condition. So the person who is pursuing bachelor degree can take an experience in his throughout the academic year as well. So the syllabus has been introduced with some entrepreneurship with a 1 month or a 3 months in the syllabus itself, so that the student should get some experience in the branches. So whatever we study, it is just a simple part in our syllabus, but whatever we go outside and learn, it is like a ocean, that is different components will be included. So you need to getting clubbed it, and then you need to analyze it. So that is how the engineering works. So 75% of the total whatever you study is waiting outside, and 25% you are learning the basics in it. So whatever for my students for a civil engineering, I always tell them that when you are pursuing the bachelor degree, so whenever you see a site on the road, go there on the site, get jump into the site, and learn first. Learn to read the drawings, then the measurement. Many people don't know that if I ask you how much the length of 1 meter looks, they don't know how much is the length of 1 meter. If I ask them how much is the length of 1 feet, they don't know it. That means the different measurements or the different site conditions, you have to analyze it, and that cannot be taught in our syllabus. Because if I put all everything into the syllabus, even after 4 years, you won't be able to complete the bachelor degree. So that is how some practicalities issues will be there. So along with your bachelor degree, so you have to go undergo an entrepreneurship or some training courses. So it is not compulsory that you should go into the any company, or you should get some trained or uh, some paid courses are there. So you can, I told you that if you see any site, just go there, stand, and learn the different components. So that's how it will help you the civil engineering, because civil engineering is not a tough part, it is very easy part. Once you see, it gets read in your mind. So scope of the civil engineering, that is designing, testing, execution, surveying, that is third party assurance, billing agency. So these are some of the areas that you can work after your bachelor degree completion, that you can work. And so jobs and internship, that is minimum, the requirement is the first part. I shall give you the 5 points, so that where you can go after BE. That is minimal requirement, that is BE, BTech. So the jobs and the internship. So after your completion of the BE, many of you people can, many of you think to go for a job. So before going for a job, you should have some minimum knowledge of the site, how the process, how the drawings. Nowadays, many of the civil people is adopting the software as well. That is a very important. That is mainly, that is an AutoCAD. AutoCAD is one of the biggest software from the Autodesk. It is one of the major important invention in the civil engineering. Before, you have seen in the WhatsApp that before the software and after the software, that before the commencement of the software, many big drawings used to do by hundreds of people sitting on the floor. But nowadays it is not so difficult, because we have a software ready made here. We can do n number of drawings in n number of uh, n big number of drawings we can complete it in the software within a very short time. That the time cutting also is done. So first and foremost, whenever in a bachelor degree, you have to undergo with some software solutions. That is the AutoCAD is the basic that you need to do. And there are some other softwares like for the designing as well as for the 3D elevations, that before the construction of the building, how it looks, and how if I enter in a building, how it feels. So that 3D walkthrough also can be done by using some of the software, that is the before the construction. So by using these softwares and by you learning this software, a bachelor civil engineer can become a freelancer. That is the main opportunity. Many of the students do it the same. After the completion of the BE BTech, They go for the software learning. Within 1.5 month, they do the course, and then they become a freelancer. It's a very easiest job. Then first of all, you should get some experience. Then you can easily jump into the field. Then the management studies. Many people think that I don't want to go for a job, go for the management studies. Because I told you, construction management branch, that is the sub branch of the civil engineering. So after your completion of the BE BTech, so you can go for the management studies, that is the masters you can go. And for that, you need to write the CAT exam for MBA in construction management, or the project management, or the real estate management, or the infrastructure management. So these are can be done by using the industrial, I'm sorry, Indian universities, like big universities, that is IIM, Indian Institute of Management. So from there you can get pursued with the management studies. So management studies you can also pursue that from various companies also, so that after the completion of your management studies, there are many opportunities that exist for the top companies in India, like for example Jindal, uh, L&T, that is a Larsen and Toubro. So many Tata consultancies, TCS engineers. So there are many companies, top Indian top companies are looking for a management studies candidates, and are having a very great packages, so that your life gets settled there. So MS from outside India also you can go for it. So for that you need to write the GRE. So if you want to get the MTech here in India, you need to go for the GATE exam in the span of seventh or eighth semester of our BE BTech. So seventh or eighth semester, there will be a notification of the GATE. If you write the GATE, you will go for the MTech, especially for IITs, where you will be getting the stipends, and you can pursue the MTech. Either you can go for the PG studies, etc. In by using GATE or a GRE, you have the opportunity to go in a semi-government official bodies like NHAI, National Highway Authority of India. So there you, instead of writing an exam, if you have qualified the GATE, you can directly go for the job in the government itself. So that is how the more opportunities that exist, very very important. In the MS you can go for the Canada, UK, so different countries you can go there and get pursued by using, but first of all you need to get prepared with the GRE, and a very big institute you can go in throughout the world and get pursued the MS from the outside India. So you have the opportunity for higher education, BE BTech after the GATE, what I told you. And next, MTech courses, that is the scorecard, will be allotted after the GATE. This is a very, very important. You can go for the PhD jobs after the MTech. So job prospects was also available. And from IITs or IISCs, that is Indian Institute of Science also is good. Then a very important factor here is that PSU and IES, IAS, KPSC. So what is PSU? PSU is Public Sector Unit. IES is Indian Engineering Service. This is one of the toughest exam in our country, that is IES. So after your completion of BE BTech in civil, if you want to go for any of the jobs, or if you want to pursue the MTech from the IITians, you should write the GATE. If you want to go for PSUs as well, that is a public sector units, like for example CPWD. So I tell you, that is Central Public Work Department, that is called CPW. Here you can see that is CPW, I have written here, Central Public Works Department. And some of our state wise, that is a Karnataka Public Service Commission, that is called KPSC. So you can also go for the IAS, IPS exams after your completion of BE BTech. So you should write the exam, entrance exam, and then get qualified through it. So where you'll be getting the assistant engineer post or executive engineer post, that is a double E we can say. That is normal AE we'll say. Then above that AEE, that is AE means assistant engineer, AEE means assistant executive engineer, or Double E means executive engineer. Then there are different hierarchies in any of the government sectors, in the PWD, in central PWD, etc. Or you can go for PSUs. There are some other PSUs I'll show you here. IOCL, HPCL, that is a power grid of NHAI, NLCs, DRDO, a BARC, that is Baba Atomic Research Company, and like for example Indian Oil. So you can, these are semi-government officials where you have the fixed government salaries of 35 years of jobs, and you'll be having some good vehicular active vehicles will be given from the government, opportunities will be given, the bungalows will be given, all the opportunities will be given under the PSUs as well as IES also. So these are some of the areas that is mostly covered in my session. So if you have any doubts or queries, you can just comment in the box and you can ask, or you can just after this the session, there will be some video shots of the our civil department in our JAIN Engineering College, Hubli. So you can just go through the video and you can see that how the civil engineering branch is there, how the staff is available, and how the labs and all setup is done in our college. So please go through it, guys. If you have any doubts, you can just comment there. And thank you for this session.